So after George Lucas sold Star Wars, I always wondered how George Lucas felt about the way Disney was taking Star Wars. Was it the way he wanted, or was it something that was totally outside of what he was thinking? He said he sold Star Wars after he did Revenge of the Sith because he had just had a baby, he was getting older, and it was getting really cumbersome to try to keep up with everything. And plus, I think that the fan reaction to the prequel trilogies wasn't what he was expecting. I think he was expecting the original trilogy reaction to Star Wars uh, from the fans. So he didn't get that reaction. He was having a baby, and he probably just wanted to take some time to sit back and relax. So he sold it to Disney. And when he sold it to Disney, they did their own thing. He gave him all this stuff for episode 7, 8, 9 that he had written already, and they decided not to use that at all. So I found an article that I wanted to read with you and go over what it says that George Lucas was feeling and how he feels now that Disney has taken over Star Wars. So let me pull it up. So here we go on screenrant.com. It says, a lot of the ideas got lost. George Lucas breaks his silence on Disney's Star Wars. And it says, George Lucas, the original creator of the Star Wars franchise, has finally broken his silence and revealed his opinion of the Disney-era Star Wars stories. Disney purchased Star Wars from Lucas in 2012, and shortly after released the first of a trilogy of movies without his direct influence, Star Wars Force Awakens, in 2015. Lucas has mostly remained silent on his opinion of Disney at the helm, though Lucas praised Rogue One, a Star Wars story, and Lucas reportedly said he enjoyed Obi-Wan Kenobi, which I did too. Lucas evidently thinks that not every decision Disney has made with Star Wars fits with the original concept, though. While speaking to a crowd at the Cannes Film Festival, as per The Hollywood Reporter and El País, Lucas complimented Disney on the great ideas in production. He compared himself to a parent whose children have grown up and moved away, before noting that aspects of the Disney era don't fit with his ideas. I was the one who really knew what Star Wars was, who actually knew this world because there's a lot to it. The Force, for example, nobody understood the Force, he said. When they started others, ones after I sold the company, a lot of the ideas that were in the original sort of got lost. But that's the way it is. You give it up, you give it up. The sequel trilogy has come under intense scrutiny since it was first released, and some viewers took issue with the changes it made to the story and world Lucas created in the original and prequel trilogies. Lucas, too, seems to think that some of his original ideas were left out of the sequel trilogy and that he understands the franchise better than Disney does. While his comments don't paint the most supportive picture, they do seem to indicate that Lucas has learned to live with the fact that Star Wars is no longer his, even though some parts of it have changed. And it says George Lucas has made his peace with the fact Star Wars is no longer his. Has he really? I don't think I would ever, if it was mine. Lucas ended his comments about the sequel trilogy on a lighter note, saying that that's the way it is. You give it up, you give it up. That suggests that despite his opinion of Disney's handling of key concepts like the Force, Lucas has accepted that Star Wars is no longer his. Selling the franchise meant he wouldn't be the creative lead any longer, and changing that meant Star Wars would be taken in a different direction than his films. Lucas surely understood that, even though he may not be entirely satisfied with the Disney era. Lucas' acceptance of Disney's role in the franchise new leader fits with a large theme of Lucas' comments at Cannes, as he essentially took a career retrospective through his earlier work and the different eras of Star Wars. Lucas spoke extensively about the reception of both the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy when he was a main figure behind the camera. Lucas' comments about the sequel trilogy seemed to serve as a way to cap off his career. He spoke about the work he created directly and ended by commenting on how that work is now in someone else's hands. The criticism of Disney's time steering the Star Wars franchise is a mixed bag. The company has certainly made some changes in particular projects, but there has also been room for several truly creative, compelling, and innovative stories that fit well with Lucas' original story. Disney's time with Star Wars is rather complex, and labeling everything the company has created since 2012 as a misunderstanding of Lucas's ideas seems like an oversimplification. Either way, George Lucas rarely speaks about the current state of Star Wars, and his recent comments gave an interesting glimpse into his opinion of Disney's ownership of the franchise. So, what do you think? I know that there's been a lot of comments made by George, some for Disney, some against Disney. And it's just very conflicting because, in one hand, it seems like he's kind of upset Disney didn't follow his ideas. But on the other, he's like, well, I sold it off and that's the way it is. But then in one interview, he said they were the white taskmasters, uh, Disney was. And I guess he was making a comment about, corporate America taking over Star Wars when he was the one who sold it. And then there's rumors coming out from Roger Christian saying that George might have a project in the works for Star Wars with the Disney company, and that they might bring him in to produce or direct or whatever. And I think that would be a fantastic idea. Um, I just wish that either he would have never sold the company to Disney, or he would have done a partnership with Disney where he had creative control and not other people that we know that have creative control right now. And he would have had total say on every project that went through. He could, green light it, or he could, you know, can it. So just to have George Lucas on there as the person who created Star Wars and created everything within the Star Wars universe before Disney got their hands on it, I would say that he knows it way better than Disney and anybody affiliated with Disney, because he's the creator. That would be like me creating this novel of books and somebody coming by and taking over. They could probably do a good job of filling in the shoes, but it would never be 100%. They would never know what I considered as complete in that universe, whereas they would try to fill in the gaps. It's just a shame for me. I'm just I think that Disney does a great job with, special effects and stuff, but that's not the story. A movie with special effects without a story is poop, in my opinion. So tell me what your opinion is and your thoughts, ideas, comments down below. And if you like this video, check this video out. May the force be with you always.